Hi everyone, it's Linda Canase with LyndaCreates, and I have a different video for you using my Kokeshi cutie from Trinity Stamps. And I had originally designed this for iCrafter, but Trinity Stamp has reissued it, and so I just wanted to show you could make a fun little card. And this is using washi paper, Japanese washi paper. And if you die cut the doll body on a fold, see, you can see the fold up there, it comes out as a little standing doll, or you could put it on a banner. So that's another thing you can do with it. But I have another project I want to share that I had gone thrifting for some fabric scrap. I came across a thrifting fabric store that had some Japanese fabric, and this is actually silk. So I wanted to use this section right here because it has a small enough print that I can use for the kimono. And then I also have this other fabric that I at the same time thrifted at the same time, that is a weave that is really interesting because this is the material they use on actual kimonos for the belt, the obi. So this is what the obi is, the belt. And then this is a kimono proper, which is, I'm going to use this fabric. So let me show you a few things I did to prepare to do my fabric version of my Kokeshi. Because I knew it would take a little bit of time to dry, I started off with this white cotton fabric, a very fine weave, and I tea dyed it. So it has a little more of a flesh tone. You can see it's going to look more realistic in a flesh tone. And then what I'm going to do now is just using a seam ripper, I'm going to cut off this piece of fabric, or separate this piece of fabric. I'm just going to go along the seam and open it up just to take this piece of fabric off. So I'm just going to cut it away, and again, just cuts like butter. It's so beautiful. So I'm going to die cut some pieces to make the kimono. I need the sleeves too. So let me just show you that. And I'm going to get pieces out. I'm going to get my die cutting machine, and I'm going to cut the doll herself out of that. And I have, there's the obi. I need a little piece like that for the neckline. And the only other thing I did was I cut the hair already from felt. So I'm going to make a little applique Japanese doll. Yeah, so let me die cut and get right back. Okay, I am using my old Wonder Under Pellon transfer web, and I just cut a piece off. Oh, there it is. Okay, and it's you can buy it in fabric stores, but it is a thin adhesive that works with an iron. So I have my old iron out. So part of the preparation for die cutting fabric, and I added a shim in there so that it has a nicer first cut through. I think I have the kimono placement. These are the sleeves. So I'm going to put that there. This is the neckline, and then I am going to cut it, and here we go. Oh, I have to move a little bit because I'm going to hit my camera. I'll put it this way so you can see it come out. So again, I'm using the standard cutting pad sandwich and a shim, and I'm cutting through very thin silk. So, just a little. Okay, so now I have the doll. I have the kimono. What else? I already die cut the hair. I need to cut a little bit of the white just on the feet. So I'm just going to roll it through. And the only other thing I have to cut, which I think I'm going to hand cut, is the obi fabric, because it's just a plain rectangle and that's all I need. Okay, so here's one white sock, the other white sock. Okay, underneath here I have my mat, and then I have a silicone mat underneath. So I've never ironed on my work desk before, but I don't want to run up and down constantly to do this. And I will come back in with needle and thread and sew it together. So you can see the doll there. So I just want to tack down the doll in place. So on the kimono, what you want to do is put down the left side first. If you look at the doll itself, or the die cut, there is the shape of this little V in the neckline. So you just want to align the angle of the collar with that V. Okay, so I'm putting down the left side first, then I will put down the right side. Now, we still have the neck piece. Before you put the sleeves on, you should put the obi. Now, I just hand cut this out. Okay. Now the obi should come down a little bit from the V-neck to where this angle right here along this side of it stops and goes vertically down. That's where you want the obi to start. Okay, so now I have some under on it. Okay, so now that you have the obi in place, you can attach the sleeve. that's the main part of the doll. I'm still have to put her hair on. Now, I could do it either way. I'm going to stitch her hair on. I don't think I'm going to iron it because it's an acrylic felt. Don't want to mess that up. So that's where I'm going to stop with the iron part. Okay. So just wanted to clarify too, when I was using my iron, I had a silicone mat underneath. Just want to say, table is very hot, but it didn't scald the table. Let me get a little closer. So now I have my fabric where we left it. I'm going to put it in a hoop now. And this is a 5-inch hoop. So I like the idea of combining paper crafting, like die cutting and stamping, card making, etc., with fiber arts. And plus thrifting. I absolutely love using thrifted items when I can. So, okay. So this is, her hair is going to be here somewhere. Speaking of thrifting, I also have in my thrifting journeys come across pure silk embroidery or pure silk thread. Yes. They're older, so I'm not quite sure how stable they are. I know they can have some issues with longevity, but this one is a button twist, so it's a little bit thicker. Might use that. It's a nice color. There's also blue. I have several other colors, but I didn't bring them down from where I have them stored. I'm going to probably use, I don't want to contrast too much. Might use this color. That's nice. And then maybe for the kimono, use this color, I think. And then I'll just have to get some black embroidery floss for her hair. But I thought it'd be so cool to use real silk thread, which I've never used before, especially not vintage silk. So, oh, and I wanted to show this. This was so cool. Oops. I love wooden bobbins that have this printing on it. It's just so cool. Anyway, I just love the graphics on these old thread bobbins. But what were the two? I think these were the two I was going to use. Okay, so I'm going to do some embroidery. Let's do it. Okay, so I am using, I think it's a number 10 embroidery needle and one strand of the silk. Let's do it. So my goal is to do a very fine stitch . I have been stitching down with just a running stitch all of the her face, her hair, and the whole kimono. I have to say, vintage silk thread is extremely fragile, breaks so often, so you need to use a very short amount to start and just stitch a little bit and get fresh thread to keep going. The eyes I did with embroidery floss. If you look at the die, it has markings to where the eyes and the mouth is located. So if you look at the die, when you die cut it, it has these indents, so it creates a little embossed line where the eyes and the mouth go. So when you're stitching the eyes, it actually is very easy because you can even see the indent, the embossed part on fabric. So that was pretty easy. The silk itself tends to unravel, so you kind of have to be very careful with that. So what I wanted to show too, I'm almost done. I still have her shoes to do, and I wanted to put a little decoration in her hair, but on the obi, they generally have, or sometimes they will have, a little like bow or a rope around it. So I just wanted to show how I did it. I took a length of 6-strand embroidery floss, and on the two ends I kept working a knot until I got something that came into this little bow, and it's still attached on the back end. But I'm going to now just cut the bottom and stitch it, sew it down. Let me show you. Now that I have the right size that I want, I can just cut that. So now I have 2 halves. I'm going to try to keep it straight like that. I am going to stitch it in, and I have a needle threader and a bigger needle. There. Okay. So without untying that, I'm just going to take it down the middle of this side. Okay. I can leave that there. So without pulling it hard, go down into that side. And again, I'm holding the bow so it doesn't untie the bow, which would defeat the whole purpose of doing this. Okay. So now I have a little bit on that side. So now what you could do, besides, I'm going to cut off these ends, but I'm going to secure it on the back side. Since I get it right to where I want it. Okay. And if you hold your needle down closer to the fabric, it tightens that knot better. There. Okay. Make it cut. Okay. So there's the knot on her obi. Like that. And now I'm just going to stitch some flowers in her hair and do her sandals. So I did her little details on her sandals. And now what I'm doing is adding some little lazy daisy stitches up here to create little flowers in her hair. I'm only going to do maybe 3 flowers. And the thing that I realize as I'm doing the stitching and choosing colors is how the Japanese kimono the colors are so seasonal. There are springtime colors and autumn colors and winter colors, and it's so much fun just to think in terms of colors, because normally I would want to do these in a bright pink because of cherry blossoms, but realizing this is more of an autumn theme because of the colors, so I'm doing it in a very muted, I don't know what you would call it, it's kind of a pinkish rust color. So it still has a little pink tone, but it's very muted like autumn. And I was just enjoying the fact of how the colors are so based on the season, and I love that. So let me just keep stitching. I'm going to back this out just a little bit. I finished stitching her flowers in her hair and added a little bit of glass beads. And I just had so much fun with this. It was a little more challenging. I think part of it was using the silk thread, which I wouldn't recommend, but pretty much everything else was fairly easy. So I hope you enjoyed that. And again, this is the Kokeshi cutie. And Kokeshi is a doll, so it's a Japanese doll. So again, you could make a 2-dimensional card, or you could put it on die cut it on a fold, and you have this little banner that you could string up a whole bunch of dolls. Or you could do an applique. And just to show too, they have this umbrella that you could add to it if you wanted to. So there's a lot of other pieces in the, if you're doing the paper version, there are little flowers that you could use. But on the embroidered and the applique version, it was nice to just do lazy daisy stitch with some glass beads. Let me bring it up a little closer. And it was fun adding the little extra belt in there. So this is a Kokeshi cutie. I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching. Please, follow me on YouTube. Visit my website, LyndaCreates. That's Lynda with a Y, L-Y-N-D-A, LyndaCreates.com. This die is available from Trinity Stamps, the Kokeshi cutie. And I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!